Have you ever felt that no matter how much you love her, something in your connection has quietly started to fade? You kiss her, you hold her, you try to spark that same fire, but deep down you can sense it. She's there beside you, yet somehow farther away. I've seen that look in countless men's eyes, the confusion, the worry, the fear that maybe they're doing something wrong, and the truth is they are, but not in the way they think. What I've learned through years of working with men is that most of them are fighting an invisible problem, one that starts not in the body, but in the nervous system. It's the silent drift that happens when touch loses its language, when kisses become routine instead of awakening. Over time, that tiny gap grows into distance you can feel but can't explain until one day you realize the intimacy you once shared has quietly slipped away. But here's what most men never hear. It isn't lost forever. The human body has built-in pathways that can reignite connection instantly if you know where to touch and how to approach with intention. There are 3 hidden zones on a woman's body that can send signals directly to her brain's centers of trust and desire, unlocking an emotional bond far deeper than physical attraction. And once you understand where they are and why they work, you'll never look at intimacy the same way again. Because real connection isn't about doing more. It's about touching with presence, patience, and purpose. When I first explain this to men, they usually look at me in disbelief. They say, "Doctor, that spot, really?" And I nod because I've seen it happen countless times the moment a man understands that pleasure and connection don't begin where he thought they did. They begin right here in the small hollow at the base of her throat, the place where her collarbones meet. This tiny dip may look ordinary, but beneath it runs one of the most powerful nerves in the human body, the vagus nerve, a direct line between her brain, her heart, and her body's relaxation system. When this nerve is gently stimulated, it triggers the release of oxytocin, the same hormone mothers produce when they hold their newborns. Oxytocin tells her brain, you're safe, you can trust, you can let go. One of my patients, a man in his late 50s, once came to me heartbroken. His wife had started pulling away, avoiding touch, and he was convinced she'd fallen out of love. When I asked how he usually showed affection, he said, "I kiss her like I always have, deeply, passionately." The problem wasn't passion, it was pressure. What her nervous system needed wasn't intensity, it was safety. So I told him, the next time you hold her, don't rush for her lips. Rest your lips here, I said, touching that delicate space just above my own heart, and stay still for a moment. Let her feel your breath. Don't kiss to excite, kiss to calm. He tried it. And a week later, he called me speech not trembling. Doctor, he said she melted. She started crying in my arms. It was like her whole body exhaled. That's not magic, that's neuroscience. When you touch this spot gently, you're not seducing her, you're telling her nervous system, you're safe now. And when a woman feels safe, her entire physiology changes, her breathing slows, her heartbeat steadies, and her mind opens to connection again. It's the difference between pressure and presence, between performance and partnership. Most men never learn this because no one ever taught them that true desire begins with trust. But once you experience the change in her body language, the way her shoulders relax, the way her eyes soften, you'll understand something most men never will, because the real spark doesn't come from dominance. It comes from gentleness, delivered with confidence. And here's what's even more surprising. The next hidden spot that awakens her emotional circuits is one most men never even consider touching. It's right there in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. Most men never realize this, but the body speaks long before the lips ever do. After years of studying human touch, I've learned that connection isn't built in the obvious places. It lives in the quiet spaces that almost no one notices. And one of those spaces is right here, just above her wrist, where her pulse beats beneath thin, delicate skin. This area, about 2 inches above the crease of her wrist, is home to the superficial radial nerve, a branch that communicates directly with the brain's pleasure and anticipation centers. According to research published in the Journal of Sensory Studies, this region responds not with arousal, but with what neuroscientists call anticipatory pleasure, the subtle thrill that builds before desire fully awakens. I remember a patient, a man in his early 60s, who came to me completely defeated. "Doctor," he said, "I've done everything. Dinners, trips, gifts, nothing works anymore." What he didn't know was that he was trying to reconnect through grand gestures when her body was waiting for something simple, presence, touch, and timing. I told him to try something that would surprise her nervous system, something her brain wouldn't expect. One evening, as they sat together talking, he took her hand, turned it gently palm up, and kissed the soft skin just above her pulse, not with hunger, with patience. And something extraordinary happened. Her body leaned in before her mind even realized why. Later, he told me it was like a spark traveled through her whole arm. She looked at me differently, like she was remembering something she'd forgotten. What actually happened was biology. That small kiss sent signals through her radial nerve, triggering a wave of gentle electric activity that cascaded into her brain's limbic system, the same network that processes emotional memory and attraction. It's why she felt both calm and excited at the same time. And here's what's so fascinating, because this area is rarely touched. Its sensory receptors are almost dormant. When you finally awaken them, her brain interprets it as new, unexpected pleasure. That surprise, that tiny flicker of unpredictability, is what modern neuroscience calls reward anticipation, the very mechanism that keeps love and desire alive. The key is subtlety. You don't rush. You pause between kisses, letting silence and warmth fill the space between. Every pause tells her nervous system something beautiful is about to happen. It's not about the act itself. It's about the rhythm that makes her entire body listen. And the next place I'm about to show you takes that same principle, trust, safety, and anticipation, but turns it into something even more powerful. It's a place that carries deep vulnerability and incredible emotional weight. Most men are afraid to touch it. And that's exactly why it holds the key to unlocking her deepest connection. Touch has a language, and the body listens more carefully than the mind ever could. After years of studying intimacy through neurology, I've learned that every gentle kiss tells the nervous system one of two messages: you're safe or you're not. The difference between those two determines everything that follows. That's why the next place I teach men about often makes them pause, not out of excitement, but out of uncertainty: the inner thigh. It's a place both powerful and fragile, connected to a complex network of nerves and emotions that few men ever understand. Right here, just 4 inches above her knee, lies the beginning of what's known in medicine as the femoral triangle, an area rich with blood vessels, lymph nodes, and sensory nerves that connect directly to the pelvic region. When stimulated the right way, the femoral nerve sends signals up through the spinal cord, awakening pathways tied to pleasure, trust, and vulnerability. But when touched too soon, before emotional safety is established, it triggers the opposite, a defensive response. Her body stiffens, her breathing shortens, her mind retreats. I've seen this reaction countless times, and it always breaks my heart because the man wasn't being careless. He just didn't know her body was still asking for reassurance. I once counseled a patient who told me she always pulls away when I try to get close. When I asked him to describe how he approached her, his words revealed everything. He rushed. He treated intimacy like a race, not a rhythm. So I told him something that changed everything. The inner thigh isn't a place to take, it's a place to be invited into. A week later, he came back and said, I slowed down. I started at her knee, kissed softly upward, and waited. I didn't move until she leaned into me. And that was the moment her breath deepened, her body softened, and she whispered, don't stop. He wasn't just touching her skin anymore. He was touching her trust. There's fascinating science behind this. When gentle, rhythmic touch activates the femoral nerve, it triggers a surge of parasympathetic activity, the body's natural calm and connect mode. The brain releases oxytocin and dopamine, simultaneously creating a feedback loop of relaxation and desire. It's what researchers from Stanford call the safety arousal paradox. The more secure she feels, the more open her body becomes. But here's the truth. Few men realize this kind of intimacy doesn't come from performance. It comes from patience. Her body isn't waiting for proof of your strength. It's waiting for proof of your presence. The slower you go, the louder her nervous system listens. Because when a woman allows you to touch her inner thigh without fear, she's not surrendering control. She's surrendering into trust. And that's the most intimate thing a human being can do. But the science doesn't end here. There's something even deeper behind why these 3 hidden spots, the throat, the wrist, and the inner thigh work the way they do. It's not coincidence, it's biology. And when you understand how the human brain processes gentle touch, you'll realize that intimacy isn't just physical at all, it's neurochemical. People often ask me, Doctor, how can something as simple as a kiss change everything? And the answer isn't romance, it's neurology. Every time your skin is touched, thousands of microscopic sensors send messages through your nervous system faster than lightning. But not all touch is created equal. Some nerve fibers are built to detect pressure or temperature. Others, the rare ones, exist solely to feel emotion. They're called C-tactile afferents, and they're the reason a slow, gentle stroke feels different from a quick one. These special nerve fibers respond only to soft rhythmic touch, the kind that signals safety and affection, and they send that message straight to the brain's insula, the area that processes emotion and social connection. In simple terms, these fibers tell the brain I'm being cared for. When those pathways activate, the body releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, and dopamine, the chemical of reward and pleasure. Together, they form what Stanford researchers call the connection loop, a biological circuit that blends calm with excitement, trust with desire. That's why the right kind of touch can make someone feel both relaxed and deeply alive at the same time. What fascinates me most is how the science matches what I've witnessed in real life. Over the years, I've seen countless men try to win back intimacy through performance, expensive dinners, grand gestures, dramatic words. Yet, a single moment of gentle, mindful touch often did what months of effort couldn't. Because the brain doesn't respond to price tags, it responds to patterns. It remembers how safe it felt in your arms. This is why the 3 hidden zones, her throat, her wrist, her inner thigh, are so effective. They aren't random. Each one sits near clusters of sensory nerves linked directly to those C-tactile fibers. Each one whispers to her nervous system, you can relax now. And when her body relaxes, her emotions follow. It's the biological key that unlocks vulnerability. not because she chooses it, but because her brain finally trusts it. The more I've studied this, the clearer it becomes. Intimacy isn't about physical ability, it's about neurological fluency, the skill of speaking to the body in a language it understands. You don't need to move faster or harder. You need to move smarter, slower, more intentionally. And that brings us to something every man over 50 should know: how aging actually gives you an advantage in creating this kind of deep connection. Because maturity, patience, and awareness aren't weaknesses. They're the very tools that make these techniques work even better with time. I've met so many men in their 50s and 60s who walk into my office convinced they've already lost the race. They talk about slowing down, lower energy, even shame, as if youth were the only ingredient for passion. But what they don't realize is that the very things they think they've lost are the things that make true intimacy possible. You see, the younger body may have speed, but the mature mind has presence. Science backs this up. Studies from Oxford and Stanford have shown that emotional intelligence, the ability to read, respond, and empathize, actually increases with age. And emotional intelligence is the secret ingredient of lasting desire. Women don't remember the fastest kiss. They remember the one that made them feel seen. Over time, your nervous system learns something that youth can't teach: rhythm. You begin to understand that connection isn't a performance, it's a conversation. Your hands become steadier, your breathing slower, your awareness sharper. You start noticing details: the way her shoulders rise when she's guarded, the way her breath deepens when she feels safe. These small things aren't accidents, they're signals. And when you learn to listen, her entire body responds. One man told me, "Doctor, I thought my best days were behind me. But when I stopped trying to prove myself and started just being there with her, everything changed." That's the advantage men over 50 have: the ability to slow down enough to be fully present. Because when you're no longer chasing ego, you can finally focus on connection. There's also a biological reason why this stage of life can create deeper pleasure. As testosterone gradually decreases, your body becomes more balanced between sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, between drive and calm. That balance allows for longer moments of connection, more patience, and an ability to sustain emotional closeness far beyond what quick physical energy ever could. The truth is, every gray hair, every wrinkle, every line tells a story your younger self couldn't have understood. Experience rewires the nervous system. It teaches restraint, empathy, timing, the very things that ignite emotional intimacy in a partner who craves more than just touch. So if you've ever thought, "I'm past my prime," let me correct that you're entering the most powerful phase of your life. Because the man who understands presence, patience, and purpose doesn't need to chase connection. He creates it. And that brings us to the most important realization of all these techniques. This awareness, this patience, they're not just tools for physical pleasure. They're the language of emotional safety, the foundation of love that lasts. So let's take a step back for a moment. What we've talked about today isn't just about technique or attraction. It's about understanding how the human body and mind communicate through trust, presence, and patience. Real intimacy isn't built overnight. It grows every time you choose gentleness over pressure, attention over assumption, and understanding over ego. If you take only one thing from this video, let it be this: you don't need to be younger, stronger, or faster to make her feel deeply connected to you. You just need to be present. Slow down, notice her breathing, listen with your hands as much as your heart. These small moments are where lasting desire begins. And remember, caring for your intimate health is part of caring for your
journey
overall
we take
well-being.
together.
Whether it's understanding your hormones,
your
protecting your
health
prostate,
is
or keeping
my
your circulation
priority.
strong, everything is connected. I share these insights not just to help you in the bedroom, but to help you live longer, healthier, and more confidently as a man. If this message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Save this video so you can come back to it later, and subscribe to the channel for more medical-based guidance on men's health, energy, and vitality. Turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss the next update. Each week, I share practical, research-backed advice that helps men stay strong in body, mind, and intimacy. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What part of today's talk made you rethink the way you approach connection? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your story might inspire another man who needs to hear it. Because at the end of the day, intimacy isn't just about how you touch others. It's about how you care for yourself, your health, and your heart. Take care of both. I'll see you in the next video.